Folks, I have no doubt that unless you've been living under a rock, that you are aware of the recent passage of that quote-unquote supposed tax cut and jobs bill that was passed in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. And in my opinion, it's really not too late to get this particular bill stopped before it's approved in both houses through reconciliation and then signed off by the womanizer-in-chief, Donald Trump. As I see it, currently in the House of Representatives, there are 241 Republicans and 194 Democrats. So, in order to defeat the bill in the House, we need to flip or change the minds of 24 people. Now, most people will react if you hit them in the pocketbook. And I'm talking about ordinary citizens as well as the rich and well-off. So, we need a total, as I stated previously, of 24 Republicans to vote no on the bill while holding the entire 194 Democrats in the House. Now, I mentioned previously pocketbooks. Well, the current tax legislation has the effect of canceling out the state and local income tax deductions, which hits everyday citizens, your average Joe, in the pocketbook if he is a homeowner, and sometimes even if he's not a homeowner. Okay? So, we need to look at the states that have high state and local income tax rates. Now, I point to 3 states in particular: the state of California, the state of New York, and the state of New Jersey. I target those 3 states, and you can add Ohio and Michigan in as well, but I point to those 3 states because they have really high state and local income tax rates. Now, within those states, you have approximately 28 Republican House of Representative members. In California, you have 14. In New York, you have 9. In New Jersey, you have 5. You could throw Ohio in there with 12, and Michigan, for good measure, with 9. If we can get the majority, not all, because you're never going to get all, but if we can get at least half of the Republicans in the states of California, which is 7, we can get half of the Republicans in New York, which would be, let's just call it 5, that brings you up to 12, and 3 of the 5 in New Jersey, that gets you to 15. We get 6 from the state of Ohio, that gets you to 21, and we get 4 from the state of Michigan, that gets you to 25. That gets you over the hump as far as having enough votes in the House of Representatives in order to defeat the bill. Now, if you want to look at the Senate, all we need is 3. Now, that's going to be a little bit tougher road to hoe, only because most of the Republicans in the Senate are pretty much safe. But if you go after at least 2 of those 3, and I'm talking about Jeff Flake, who stated his adversity to the legislation, and you go after Pat Toomey in Pennsylvania, who is sitting a little rocky, and then you add to them the senator from the state of, I believe it's Tennessee, Corker. That's 3 in the Senate. What we need to do now, folks, is we need to do a full court press, at least in those 5 states. Now, if you want to add a few more, you can always go to Missouri. Texas is going to be a tough road to hoe because Texas doesn't have a state income tax, but its property tax rate is fairly high. Arizona would also be helpful to pick up a couple there. And surprisingly, Illinois has 7, and we should be able to get at least 2 or 3 of them out of that particular state. Now, Wisconsin is pretty much gerrymandered as far as the House of Representatives is concerned, but there is at least 1 to 2 vulnerable House of Representative members there. So there are more than enough targets for us to hit in order to stop this legislation from going through. And it's basically up to us as regular citizens who have said enough is enough as far as all of these representatives, let us call them, who are answering to their donors first and dealing with us as an afterthought. We need to make them aware that they work for us and not the donors. I don't know what the DNC is doing, but if I were working for the DNC, I would make this my top priority at this point in time, just to deal with this legislation. And then with the elections coming in 2018, there are more than enough targets out there, especially given their total capitulation to Donald Trump, that the House of Representatives, in my opinion, should be a fairly easy flip. Now, the Senate will be a different story because there are more Democrats that are up in 2018 than Republicans. I believe the number of Republicans is approximately 6 that are up. So it's going to be a tough road to hoe in order to flip the Senate. But I honestly believe that even that can be done. But folks, we need to let all of our friends, buddies, etc., living in the states that I mentioned to get on the telephone, get on their email accounts, get on their text accounts, and send messages out to their individual representatives, particularly if they are Republicans, and let them know your dissatisfaction with them signing off on this tax bill, and also let them know that if this thing does go through, their tenure will be short-lived.